Greetings. Yo, this topic, I don't want to scoop this chair up because I'm in a good position because I want to get this sign. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to scoop this chair so I can get in a good position. Yo, man. I was having a moment, purging, crying, just having a moment, having a moment. Let's give honor to Source, let's give honor to the Creator, to the Most High, for making all this possible, for me to be able to have the courage to bring y'all this message first and foremost. Before I get into this, I do not proclaim to be any type of therapist, a professional in that area or anything as such. I, again, speak from my experiences. I try to correlate or connect the dots with my own experiences from my own life, from my own childhood into adulthood, connect things and speak about it, which has, helped me tremendously in like become more aware of what I've experienced and currently experiencing or getting through, navigating through, and also to face it within myself and to bring it to y'all. Okay? Let's be clear on that. Because I feel like, from my perspective, not just on an individual level, but for the collective, which I've always made clear about how, I really do want to scoot up some more. But I know this chair. Okay, let me try now. All right, y'all, but the sun, I'm telling you, it's not as hot outside, but when this sun coming through this window, I'm still getting them sun rays. You feel me? So anywho, it's wild, the things that, the awareness that I'm coming into to be able to talk about this right now. I said before, one of my previous videos, I feel, I know that right now, those of you that are not into astrology, but don't know much about, what they call the South Node, North Node, or just, what do you call it? What is it? South Node being in, is it the South Node in Pisces and North Node Virgo? It's either or. But if you're not into that, it'll show every 18 months how things shift, astrologically, or, am I saying that right? Astrologically, or things doing with the zodiac signs, but I think it's astrologically, yeah. But speaking from that perspective, there is an emphasis around, and I've always said this, it's going to be an emphasis around, highlighted around mental well-being, physical well-being. Virgo being more of an earth sign, which is like the physical well-being. Pisces is more like the subconscious, the emotional well-being, of the collective. Like I said, you can research more on that, like the North Node, South Node being in these particular signs to get more of a deeper awareness and, understanding or, comprehend exactly what I'm talking about. So before I got here, I was literally I don't know what it is. It's energetically, I feel like we're all purging something, and we're literally days away from spring. Meaning in this energy of purging, letting go. So if you're feeling a sense of being overwhelmed, anxiety or something, old memories, things coming up, it's very significant right now because we're literally coming in the Western aspect, Western hemisphere as they call it. We're literally coming out of the winter into the spring solstice. So some people celebrate the new year around, astrologically speaking, around the March and April aspect, because things begin to grow. Things begin to, I'm looking at a beautiful tree right now outside of this window. It's literally days ago, it was not like this, but to see it blossom, I'm like, wow, the significance of that. That being said, is very significant to what's going on and even playing out. Again, the well-being of humanity, the well-being of ourselves, is big for me to talk about this because it's so much emphasis on, like, me speaking up for men's mental health, the mental health of young men, the mental health of everybody, or the well-being, and being a darker man in a place where a country or environments where it's not encouraged at all or supported a lot at all. There's more support geared towards throwing men, consequences around throwing men into a prison system rather than supporting or even getting to the root cause of their behavior, really learning about them instead of studying on them, really learning about, the things which I already feel the powers that ain't or things that were set in place knew about these things or had knowledge of it, but never cared to really support it. But now that the power has shifted, now there's emphasis on how some of us are stepping up for the importance of that, to be able to speak and hold space and be able for ourselves first and be able to hold space for everyone else and have that grace. That being said, the topic at hand is BPD. What is BPD? What is BPD? I recently came into contact with a beautiful individual who told me that they were diagnosed or, by, medical industry or whatever, diagnosed with said, this disorder. And BPD is borderline personality disorder. And the reason, how I'm getting into this is because when I look at things, again, I'm not here to, I'm here to approach things completely different than what a medical approach would be. I do believe there is a thing where you have talk therapy, which I'm doing. I know of people who are therapists. I know of people who would approach things completely different. Again, this is from my experience. This is my perspective. I'm not trying to convince people of anything. It's just how I, through my emotional intelligence, from my emotional ignorance, or from parents or people who did not know the importance of their well-being and prioritize it, and now realizing how a lot of us in certain cultural dynamics or certain demographics are or have suffered from things. And I'm not here to diagnose anybody. I'm not here to diagnose myself. I'm not here to take on anything. I'm here to simply express through the best of my knowledge and my awareness of my own fucking emotional intelligence from my own experiences. Connect that to from my own childhood experience. Y'all know how I get down. It's just what it is. So again, it's not about convincing anyone. Maybe there's probably something here that can give you insight to even lead you in some type of awareness of who you are, and maybe even guide you to some type of holistic practice of going to therapy or becoming more healthier for yourself. Because this is what I realize about the self-mastery of my own journey is literally every day trying to become better for myself. I hope this phone doesn't overheat because it probably, okay, I might have to reposition this. Let me see. Y'all bear with me. Make sure I don't cut the phone. I think it'll let me know if it overheats. Let me just keep on going just in case. Matter of fact, I might need to put something over it. What is that gonna do? Yeah, let me put a shirt on there that way. Just in case I don't make a video today. Okay, perfect. Okay. Where was I getting into? Come back home. What else was I saying? Yeah, basically speaking from my experience. Again, this is just a guide for some of us, it can just support in helping you in any type of way. Who knows? I mean, again, I'm just grateful to be able to have the confidence and courage now to speak on certain subjects that would be very difficult. That is a huge glare, but I'm trusting that, again, it's all as well. So again, I'm gonna read on some things, and again, I'm gonna speak from my own experience where I can just connect the dots, whether from my own experiences or from something that you can relate to, or from somebody you don't know that may have suffered or gone through this, or you can probably connect it. Let me see. So again, this is just from something I was researching. I'm just gonna read from, it says Clearview Treatment Program, because I was researching, something was like researching borderline personality disorder. And again, I can just look at, I can give so many different statements or observations or perspective on whatever it is, whether you want to use the borderline personality disorder, or even you can say childhood trauma. It's so many things that I realize that is developed. That's what, what really, like, it's like, you know how we develop a behavior pattern. So this is one of the biggest things about speaking about this. So I'm gonna read into it, and then whenever I feel like I need to express something from that, let's see what we'll lead into. That's what we're going to. One of the most painful mental illnesses, living with borderline personality disorder, pain. Borderline personality disorder is one of the most painful mental illnesses, since individuals struggling with this disorder are constantly trying to cope or with volatile or overwhelming emotions. When that shit say overwhelming emotions, I'm like, whoa. Those who don't have this disorder sometimes have a hard time understanding the almost constant struggle with intense emotion. Those who don't have this disorder. Okay. The problem is that the way a person with BPD has to escape the pain often. Look, hold on. Yeah, I got a glare on here, man, with this computer. The problem is that the way a person with BPD behaves to escape the pain often leads to more pain. And this is wildly, like, as soon as I read stuff, I automatically connect the dots, automatically know of relatives, automatically know of cultures, creeds, demographics that this is prominent in, bruh. It says desperate attempts to escape from emotional pain can lead to self-destructive behaviors like substance abuse, cutting, and this can be very, if you're not ready for certain things like this, you can turn off and skip ahead, or even unaliving attempts or suicidal attempts. So again, I'm not proclaiming to be this professional or anything. I'm just speaking from people that I've had personal experience who tried to unalive themselves or had thoughts or so forth. And I was gracious enough or grateful enough to even talk with them through things. And I've said this on a previous video, like, talk with them through things. And, sometimes we feel like, from my perspective, that people automatically need this medical support, when I've experienced people who just need a listening ear, bro, an active ear. Because a lot of things I feel is so skipped over to where, some people argue me up and down. Some people will just feel like medication is the best way, but I feel like personally what we're shifting into is more of a holistic approach, literally sitting down with people, literally doing things. Again, approach can be completely different, because there's a shift that's happening where, we're quick to judge and quick to drug someone, put people on, and I don't care if I'm being liked by this, just me being honest. I just know from experience. I know people from experience who have been put on things and thrown into certain things and automatically just forgotten about. Automatically seeing how that has taken it's taking a toll so much on their mental even more because they're numbing themselves with it. So again, my perspective, everybody else has their own perspective. So that being said, I've had talks with people who have been in connections like that when it comes to their own personal experience. And luckily, I'm grateful enough to talk to them or have talked to them so they can feel just much better after that. Because there's a lot. It's so easy for us to be on the outside looking in, to judge, and don't realize like what people are going through daily. And we're quick to say, oh, just throw them away and just forget about them and discard them and forget about their emotions. Well, we don't realize we created this as humanity. We haven't had compassion for ourselves. We haven't had a society that has created a space for us to feel safe and secure. And just as much as we want to hold someone accountable for their actions, we don't have a society or things in place that holds us accountable for our own emotions, for our own, even how to navigate our emotions. Not to mention just listening to this, and I ain't even got all the way in it. I know personally people who have the traumas they have went through, even my own experience, the traumas, certain things I've experienced and developed the self-sabotaging or self-destructive behaviors. I can relate to this. That don't mean I gotta diagnose myself. I can relate to, and I know other people who can relate. And I feel like a vital piece that is missing in certain communities and certain places is people that's not trying to come along and automatically, which I've seen a lot happen, is in certain demographics, you have mothers and the fathers or mothers already going through so much themselves, and they don't really have the emotional support system. They don't really have the genuine support system. So they're naturally escaping again through substance abuse. Because of when you look at the demographics, certain, most of your, most of your stores or certain alcohol store, things are in certain places for a reason. Because, people are trying to escape through that. Certain things are put purposely in certain places just because, again, they're not, my demographic, there's not immediately support on therapists, in the darker community, let's be honest. Like there's not a lot of, there's more polices and more things that are quick to put a solution to keeping a police station and, keeping them on call, keeping them on salary, things I don't think people realize, like there's a shift in the awareness of like how certain things would even be upheld if it wasn't preying on the woundings of not just our mothers, but our kids, or just, in the totality of even humanity. I don't think y'all realize how deep when it comes to the medical system or certain things that are in place, how much they gross, how much is, how could I say this, is received simply from pain rather than the therapy, the unsafetyness that's not even instilled or learning now to be restored, within ourselves, in all demographics and cultures and throughout humanity. So instead of automatically being devalued and pushed aside. So that being said, it makes a lot of sense now growing up and being in certain demographics where you're seeing why there's so many liquor houses or stores. I grew up around stuff like that, where I always saw people who would go to the liquor store every day or every other day, or go to the liquor house, and they never really talked about their emotions. They never really talked about what they really went through. So when I look at BPD, or when I look at just trauma in itself, this is shit generationally. I mean, you can word it differently and all that, but again, it still has been a thing generationally, ancestrally, that when it comes to repressing and suppressing and the developmental process of even these self-destructive patterns, and why certain people have the habits that they have. I'm going to proceed with reading. People often describe those who have borderline personality disorders as manipulative, unstable, or clingy. From the outside, the outbursts and intense emotional reactions of a person with BPD may seem unreasonable, but from the perspective of someone who has this disorder, what others see as a manifestation of a world full of intense pain. Whew. For those living with borderline personality disorder, intense mental and emotional pain in their, baseline mood. The depths of BPD emotional pain impacts their ability to behave in ways that others might consider reasonable. So why does BPD hurt so much? Characteristics of BPD. I'm getting so tired of saying that. Borderline personality disorder is a deeply misunderstood mental health disorder. An individual developing borderline personality disorder begins to have difficulty managing their emotions, which impacts their relationship, their self-image, and their behaviors. Well, shit, when I read that, I can say most of humanity has this disorder. That means when you look at dis-ease or discomfort, that means there is no balance in it. When I look at culture, when I look at what we've been fed and we've been taught not to have stable and healthy relationships, shit, most of our kids are suffering from this. Whether you want to use that term, they're not taught to have stable relationships with themselves. They develop from a young age to look externally for validation. They develop, that's already teaching them, from my perspective, honestly, to have an unstable relationship with yourself. If you're teaching them through let's say religion, through other practices that doesn't teach them to value their own well-being first, to prioritize their well-being first. I've sat down with young men who have grown up in certain, demographics or religious backgrounds, and they tell me how they have a, Christian base, their mother and father. And this does not mean that they don't have a healthy connection or relationship with them. Or what I'm getting at is the deeper aspect of that child knowing the importance of their relationship with themselves, how valuable that is, how important it is, no matter mom and dad belief system. So again, there's a lot that ties into this developmental stage, or how we come into who we are, and being empowered in that, not disempowered. So, that whole message right there, when it's mentioned how difficulty managing their emotions, most of the imprisonment, or most of men that probably have mother wounds, things that I went through, again, when I did not have a healthy balance of a father being in a home, or even seeing something healthy, I can honestly say, yeah, I had very much issues of navigating my emotions, because I only saw women who were unstable in their emotions, who did not really know how to manage them at all. They were very angry all the time, and it's going to talk about that as well. They never had stable relationships. They never had stable marriages. And so, me speaking about my experience, there are so many people that can relate. Even the ones of you that have a wholesome and balanced home. This is to bring you into the worlds of a lot of young men, a lot of humanity, especially certain demographics where people are so easily judgmental because they don't want to go into certain areas like the hood and whatever else, and not realizing how the fuck these kids have developed this behavior pattern, this self-destructive behavior pattern, rather than just throwing them away, putting them in jail, throwing them in a prison. Again, I've always said, when you look at the reflection of the U.S. and when you look at the reflection of what we have experienced, and you're asking us to be so forgiving, There is no mutual trust that we even have with ourselves first, let alone not having honest and authentic parents that live through integrity, a system that doesn't live through integrity, that doesn't uphold integrity. There's no mutual trust. So again, that is a part of developing a process of what? Unstable relationships. Unstable relationships also lead to what? Emotional turmoil. What else did that lead to? Self-image. What else did that lead to? Their emotions are extremely intense, which can lead to episodes of depression. What's going on with a lot of us in humanity right now that we're never talking about, especially men? We're taught to just go, work, provide. When a lot of us don't even realize we're going through depression. We don't even realize that as we're told to put our emotions and put everything aside, suffering from anxiety, not to mention all of that anger building up from childhood. Let me see. Episodes of depression, anxiety, and anger that may persist for days or even weeks. And shit, for a lot of us, this is generational. Come on, wake up. Not even wake up, rise. You are looking at reflections. The world shall see their reflection. Y'all shall see what you've created. The monster that you created. I always, when I sit here and look at and see what I went through and experienced, I'm like, wow. I can see that. I had to tell myself not to beat myself up over the fact of like, I have had no control over the people that was my caregivers, even when I was young. But now I take full responsibility to be able to feel through all this shit that I didn't even know that I had going on as a man. The little boy who had experienced things at the hands of people who did not know how to navigate their emotions, who did not know how to even process their thoughts, who did not even have a safe place to live in certain demographics, who did not even have people who cared about their well-being. And you're asking of us as men, young men, men that are in school, men that are going places, men that are, especially, some darker men that are asked to walk these streets in certain neighborhoods where we're not even looked at as a human fucking being. You're asking of us to show up in workplaces, to discard of our emotions, to leave our emotions. Your corporations, your everything is, leave that at home, be professional. What the fuck is that? You're literally watching humanity suffer from the very thing that they've created and don't want to take no accountability and responsibility into how you have created this, how we all have played a role in pointing out who's the problem, but never finding the fucking solution. And then we're asked not to be angry. We're asked not to show our anger. We're asked not to cry. We're told not to cry as young men. We're told not to be ourselves. And now you're seeing people with this disorder that medication can't fix. We all trying to fix something instead of being active listeners, instead of actually sitting down and feeling and acknowledging how we have played a role in it. Let's proceed. They may also be consumed with an intense fear of abandonment. When we have grew up in homes, or when you see humanity has been so codependent on corrupted systems, corrupted people who proclaim to be so pure and righteous, yes, we all have suffered from abandonment issues. Yep, that's my take on it. Yep, the fear of abandonment. And this is why you see so much of a cycle of certain relationships, like failed relationships, or just unstable. Let's just say unstable. Because we, in process, abandon ourselves. And we continuously do it until we realize, until I had to become aware at the age of 35 that I will no longer abandon myself. That means I will go out and do things for myself that my father never did. I will go out and do things that the world said a darker man couldn't do. And it's not to prove. It's just I choose not to abandon the little boy in me. I choose to no longer abandon parts of me that even my mother didn't know how to care for within herself, or my father didn't know, or the men and women or the family that I came from didn't know. I choose no longer to abandon the emotions that I need to feel. I choose no longer to abandon the memories that have haunted me. Whether I was wrong or so much right in a way. And being able to look into the mirror and face it. And not put on this fucking facade for no video. To be honest, can be honest with myself and say, I've hurt. I've been hurting. I was hurt by people, so I've hurt other people in the process when I was not even aware, when I was unconscious of that. And this is a society. This is what we built. We have created robots, people who have no compassion. Who truly abandon themselves for likes, for views, for acceptance, to be viral, to chase the bag, to continue to abandon parts of themselves just to show up for other people. That's the mental disorder right there that we're denying of ourselves. That's the mental disorder. So again, they also can be consumed with an intense fear of abandonment, but at the same time may engage in impulsive behaviors and have mood swings that push others away. When they're not feeling overwhelming pain, sadness, or anger, they may feel a sense of emptiness. God, shit, like the story of my life when I was younger, like fuck. I can't deny it. I won't. Because one thing I learned about therapy is acknowledging and talking through it and then being able to keep that version of yourself that doesn't go away. We live in a society that are so in denial about their own problems. Y'all gotta realize I keep scooting up because I love this son. The son is giving me life right now. We live in a society and we're teaching the youth to be so in denial about who they are. And not being accepting of the beauty of who they are and the parts of them that is just like a tree or a flower that grows. It's not going to always be easy and pleasant. It's not going to always look a certain way. Shit. Physical symptoms. I've seen people go through this. According to the National Institution of Health Studies, there are also some physical symptoms of BPD. This disorder can lead to negative physical health outcomes, including an increased risk of chronic disease like diabetes, health disease, arthritis, and obesity. Additionally, because some symptoms are borderline personality disorder overlaps with other mental health disorder like post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. It's important to seek support from a mental health professional to ensure accurate diagnosis. It's always crazy how they be like seek somebody. They like on some real shit. Who gonna like? We don't need to deny this no more. I can say humanity, most of the world. When you talk about a culture or humanity in the last couple hundred years that have prided themselves on violence. Pride themselves on creating disorder, not harmony, not living in truth and integrity. It would be literally crazy for people to deny the fact that they haven't had some type of PTSD. Not everybody. I'm just saying majority, humanity. When you see what we have lived through, it's like impossible to say someone in a demographic that, whether it's the hood or whatever it is, even people who have went to war, most of those, what do you want to call them, veterans or some of your grandfathers, great-grandpa, they sat back, they kept so much in, sis. And a lot of them never disclose it. This is in all demographics. This is all cultures and creeds. They never disclose it. They were abusive. They couldn't even, they literally, I used to hear stories, they literally sat back and had stories of traumas going to war and they never could get it right. And they would be so avoidant. They would distance themselves. Some of you had grandfathers and great grandparents and so forth. Mothers who never were able to sit with the fact of what they went through. And I've told y'all from my experience of seeing shit that I went through and purposely like recognizing the fact that like, damn, I'm fucked up because they was fucked up, cuz I'm messed up inside because they was messed up. But now I got to take full responsibility of this because I need to feel what I need to feel through. I need to be a generational cycle curse breaker or be a cycle breaker so that my son, so that my daughter doesn't have to go through the things that I went through or even carry that same energy, anger, frustration. So all you out there that are in denial, it's okay to come home to yourself. It's okay. You can say you had a mother that's suffering from PTSD or borderline personality disorder. If you want to use those terms, it's okay. Because most of the demographics that I knew that I grew up in, I can look back and see, bro, I know niggas right now that would literally drink themselves to oblivion just to numb themselves, just for them not to feel the emotion. We know this, especially in certain demographics where people, someone gets shot and killed, unalive, whatever, and they go to a funeral, and the first thing they do after is drink. Stop playing with me, man. I didn't come into play. I didn't. Post-traumatic stress disorder and borderline personality disorder. Since borderline personality disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder have many similar symptoms, there are sometimes mixed diagnoses. Okay. They can also co-occur, meaning that an individual can have both disorders at the same time. And diagnosing mental health disorder can be challenging because there aren't medical tests that can prove the correct diagnosis. So why the fuck, what? But determining the accurate diagnosis is vital to ensure the most effective treatment plan can be created. And this is my thing. What is the correct treatment? If you see how people right now that are fucking addicts over the fact of what medication they have been given, where is the treatment? What are you treating? That sounds like someone, here go a treat. It's temporary. Here goes a treat. That's just mine now. Here go a treat, like you give it to a dog. Here go a treat. What about, why shouldn't it say the most effective solution? Challenges with relationships. Sheesh. Relationships are an ongoing challenge and frequently a source of pain for someone with BPD because they're engaged for connection, but they're also terrified of having others abandon them. Good God, oh my gosh. That's one thing I had to learn, like, through my experience of, like, facing abandonment issues. You realize how much trauma bonding that has been developed and is still looping through the fact of certain caregivers or parents meeting and have so much fucking unresolved emotions and unresolved traumas. And then they're meeting in this energy and then they connect and boom, boom, boom. Personally, from experience, that's one thing I do not ever deny. I've sat with my partner and told her, I'm like, yo, had I knew what I knew now, nah, I wouldn't rush it, I wouldn't change it. But it's like, when you, again, have a culture, or taking full responsibility, having a culture, to where you don't even know unconsciously that you're just simply engaging or trying to connect with someone and, oh yeah, you want to do this and do that. And a lot of us have grown up in environments where this was normalized, not to care for our well-being, not to realize the importance of unresolved emotions, unresolved traumas or memories or whatever. And sometimes we'll literally cycle through what our parents did. And then some of us are now here to feel and acknowledge that unresolved traumas and emotions in the lineage, in society, and so forth. Literally, it's on all levels. Like, it ain't just unresolved things with, individuals personally in their connections with their spouse or kids, you literally have unresolved traumas and issues and memories when it comes to things ancestrally that has happened on this land. Again, that has happened on this land, that has happened through generations and so forth. That's a whole nother discussion when we talk about the internalized racism. When we're talking about the pain that people are just asking people, depending on what they've experienced of darker people in this country. You're asking of them to just disregard certain things and, again, repress it, still unresolved, not finding a solution because money is not going to do it. Giving certain things are just not going to do it. There are certain things on certain levels that has to be talked through. There are certain things that, what do they call those break rooms? There are certain people that have to go through things differently than just trying to just do it in a certain way. It's just different. I tell you one thing that I would probably encourage. What do they call them? The little break rooms where you go in there and just take out your emotions on stuff, like literally. Put that in certain demographics and let those kids get their stuff out. There are no solutions. How do guns just pop up anywhere? How? Where's the accountability? How? Certain things on every level, every woman is not the same. Every reality is not the same. Everyone don't see everything the same. So many things. I can go on and on. Everyone's running from accountability. Sheesh. Challenges with relationships. Relationships are ongoing challenges and frequently a source of pain from someone with, before I get into that. Yeah, that's one thing I will not deny. Dang, I'm getting a call. I'm going to have to call you back. That's one thing I will not deny is the fact of how a lot of us want to deny the fact that we have so much unresolved trauma or unresolved things, whether you have went through this or not. Whether you still grew up in an environment where you had everything, you still can connect with people that when it comes to them being a different creed and color or just culturally have experienced things that you may not have. And that still, you have to ask yourselves, what's keeping you from connecting with them? What's keeping you from expanding or, bridging something that you may have not had knowledge of? Just saying. Because a lot of you are oblivious to this. A lot of your grandparents and great-grandparents, it's deep that I met someone that literally, their fear of being with someone that is darker, and then literally how the girl, parent or great-grandparents hide behind their religion and knowingly know that what they have, their belief systems on even darker people and their hatred for them, but yet they're not accepting of, this is a theme. And some of you probably are oblivious to that because your grandparents or certain people have kept it in so much. And have completely given you a whole narrative of what they feel and how you should live. And I can go on and on. Let's see. Relationship challenges in relationships. Relationships are ongoing challenges, frequently a source of pain for someone with BPD because they're eager for connection, but they're also terrified of others' abandoning them. They may be demanding of their partner's time and attention, which can trigger resistance or resentment from the partner. Bro, even just with that self, that starts young. That starts very young. When a lot of us were trying to get this attention from our mothers and fathers, and then what ended up happening is resentment grows because then some of us are grow into relationships, get into things, and then let's say you have a child, and I can personally speak from this. There are times where I wanted to resent and have resentment for my mother and my partner for certain things that with my partner had nothing to do with her, but had everything to do with my mother because I felt like she should have shown me some attention. She should have gave me more. A lot of us, what I didn't want to accept that I had a deep acceptance of is, I keep trying to get into the sun, a deep acceptance of how I had to accept, like, yo, I had to tell her, like, yo, I had to give you grace. I had to give myself grace because it really hit me. I never seen a healthy partnership. So I can see how self-sabotaging a relationship, literally, unconsciously, manipulatively, if that's a word, or in a way where you're not even aware what you're doing until you have caused yourself pain and the other people. And it's like the awareness around the fact of, even with I'm about to quote Smokey. Smokey was, the movie Friday, if you don't know about that, when he was at the end, they went through all that and he was like, man, I'm about to go to, what do you say, therapy or go to treatment or something? Bro, it's exactly how I feel right now in life. You come to that point in life where you can look in the mirror and say, look, I may need some support in certain areas. Because you're talking about years of men never getting that genuine support. So that goes back to the unhealthy dialogues and relationships that we had that we thought that was going to be sustainable. Now we're here cycle breaking that bullshit to try to be somewhat healthy for ourselves and other people, and not continuously like destroying and ruining what we're trying to build and sustain, or that can last for longevity. And for most part, for our kids. So I had to really come to that self-realization of like recognizing the trauma bonds that I grew up in and the trauma bonds I developed with myself, the behavior patterns, and to no longer trauma bond with myself. To acknowledge the fact of, even though it took me this duration, I still can learn to be healthy for myself. And that's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. That's that shadow work. That's that stuff you have to go inwardly to really face, so that I don't have to have resentment towards people who I felt should have done things better. It was meant for that, so I can be here talking to y'all and discussing this. And I'll probably do a part 2 to this, but shifting self-images is what I want to read on next. BPD, emotional pain, can impact the self-image of someone struggling with borderline personality disorder. They may feel that they have no idea who they are or what they believe in, and may change who they are depending on what others want from them. Oh my fuck, yo. I know some of you are probably gonna be like, yo, what? Let me tell you something. I feel like this is rapid through humanity. Rapid. You're talking about people who hold so much in, emotional or unresolved emotions, and the pain stemming from childhood or just experiences, whether even in adulthood, because you have adulthood trauma, even if you didn't experience certain things in childhood. And then the struggle that people have with their self-image, you can see this play out through so many things. I see this play out through so many people. I've experienced this to where I had to rebuild my whole internal world, my self-esteem, my confidence with myself, to even share, to even be confident, to even show up as myself, to not. And, there were times where I questioned everything, like, why did I have to have this mother, this father? Why couldn't my father be here? Why can't I be accepted as a darker man in this country, in the world? Why can't, question everything? I had to go to the deep core of myself and decide what I needed to believe in. What is more important for me? That value system. What is more valuable than trying to, what it mentions says, they may feel like they have no idea who they are or what they believe in, and may change who they are depending on what others want from them. That last quote was like, not knowing your worth, not knowing your value, and devaluing yourself or lowering your standards or settling just for someone else's approval. That shit starts in childhood. That's what I got from that. Like, that starts real deep. Even how the image of being a darker man in this vessel, just even how the image is portrayed, how I'm portrayed. And if I'm not walking in that, or if I'm not what people want me to be, then I'm not amazing, then I'm not beautiful, then I'm not lovable. That's bullshit. So in that reconstruction and coming back home to myself, I realized on a deeper soul level, going internally, that none of that matters to the Most High. If I'm made in the image of God, the creator, source, then that's all that matters. So I'm grateful. Like, reading this is wow. Because I got to do a part 2, because I got to, get some things going. But yeah, I just wanted to really connect that again, to really see how a lot of us, and this is not trying to diagnose anyone, it's just making it relatable so that you can realize, like, what type of world, what type of society, what type of, belief systems or we have developed for ourselves or from others, and not really knowing the importance of how valuable we really are. And yeah. So, man, the self-image thing is real. Oh my gosh. I know so many people that hold so much in and really have no idea. I've talked about this, like the identity crisis. They have no idea who they are to the core. And I mean, it's been a transition for me, like coming from like being an authentic version of myself. Because again, I didn't have that growing up. So this has been an ongoing process of navigating this. Learning more through the emotions. I had to get through every emotion to be where I'm at. I had to learn more about myself to realize, like, yo, hold on. To the core of me, Source says that I'm this. No matter what the world, no matter, who are you before your mother and father told you to be? Who are you before society? And we don't realize how much we have developed these self-destructive patterns, very young, into Source, into the Most High. It still is like little kids running around, trying to find their way, trying to find a sense of belonging. So to those of you that are, again, that are going to or experience some type of mental disorder, or just, I'm not trying to, I'm not in any way trying to project anything onto you. If those of you who know of people, and those of you that probably can connect or relate to this, I'm sending love. I'm sending healing. I'm sending, like, that you can come into a deeper, intimate relationship with yourself by navigating the emotions, the repressed emotions, the suppressed emotions, emotional patterns, the self-destructive patterns, the unresolved emotions and memories that you knew nothing about. And I just wish and grant you grace that you may find peace upon your journey and through your experience. And know that you are loved. You come from something higher and greater, that you come from love. Source is love. We just agreed in a way to come here to navigate this. Like I said, I'm not here to be perfect in none of this shit, because I'm still unlearning. Still, like, it's like an onion. Oh, I thought I knew this, and all of a sudden, boom. I cried. Something said, research this, make a video about it. Make it relatable. Connect it. Somehow, some way, so that the people can, relate it. That's just what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm not here to convince people. I just love doing this shit. I'm grateful. And someday, somehow, some way, I'll be speaking in front of a lot of you. Hundreds of millions. Well, I'm already doing it now via YouTube, but, some way, somehow, in some type of setting, speaker, I'm ready, because I love it. This is what I do. So call up your university, school, or, book me. My information is in my bio or in my description. Nah, but the healers, the powers that ain't and the powers that be now, the healers are in power now. the people that have, not just healers, that, those of you that know who you are, whatever you want to proclaim to be, those who walk in this integrity, authenticity of not hiding themselves. Like, we don't gotta, it's just like this. Like, that's my shadow, this the light aspect, the yin and the yang. Those who have learned to master these parts of themselves and still are. I don't proclaim to be perfect. I still got to learn through stuff. I still am unlearning programming. I still am realizing how much and vital it is to show up for myself, to be supportive of my own well-being, and then to empower y'all to also prioritize your well-being, because it's vital. Because there's somebody out there right now fighting a war, an internal war that you know nothing about, and they're on the edge or on the brink of possibly, that word, unaliving them, and those of you that are on the brink of that, I encourage you to talk to someone and reach out for support the best way you know how. You are loved though, man, like for real, because I know people who have went through that and experienced it. And you are loved, you are embraced, you are valuable. There are young people out here going through that because they're fighting with a spiritual warfare. They're fighting with vices. They're going through things that they don't even know the solution for. So much love to you all. May you be embraced. May this video be calming and even triggering to a way to where something comes up where you can still come to a sense of peace or balance within yourself. That's all I have to say. Peace and blessings. Go get some sun, go breathe, go walk, do something. Drink some water, eat something good. Go love on yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.